Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, I hope you are having a wonderful day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare. So every weekend I talk about the new makeup, beauty and skincare releases that you and I both wanted to talk about. So I have to say a massive thank you to everyone who tagged me over on content on Instagram, TikTok, etc. Your names are being displayed right now. Without you guys, I wouldn't know exactly how to structure my episodes. So thank you so much. I also want to say a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. You're rather fantastic. I'm due live very soon. I'm kind of thinking at the very end of my Easter break to just hang out with you guys because I'll have come back from a holiday in Kerry. I know, and I can fill you in on all of that. But let's talk about some of the latest developments. I'm going to start off first by some news, and it's unfortunately that the wonderful brand Suva Beauty is closing. The owner went onto Instagram and also onto YouTube to announce this, and it seems to have been a sort of a perfect storm, for want of a better expression, of variables that led to this particular decision. The first one, of course, being that Morphe, one of its biggest retailers, closed its doors and didn't tell them. I still think that was the weirdest thing to actually do because it put them into a really tricky situation. So that was one big one. The second was that the owner of the brand, her dad had a heart attack. Thankfully, he is fine now. That is wonderful to know, but obviously when something like that happens, our priorities shift, and with everything that was going on in the world, it was very clear that she was talking about the overall global context. I mean, the fact that there are several wars happening right now, I totally get why you as a brand owner would kind of look at all of that happening and not really be inspired and think, let's do fun, creative makeup, because that's what Suva essentially was. It was like fun, bright, festival sort of makeup. And I can see that her heart just isn't in it. And I respect somebody stepping back when their love isn't in it anymore. So, do you know, I'm so sad because I really love Suva. I feel like their shade Scrunchy, that pink, is hands down the best pink liner that you'll ever find. They really changed the game. I hope everything goes really well for the owner and that this is a positive step for them. I do hope, though, that maybe sometime down the line they might think of coming back, because I do feel there's a space for them. Even though this is such a saturated market, they are such a big loss. Then we have another piece of news, and my heart almost jumped out of my chest when I saw this. JD Glow Cosmetics put down, we have to close JD Glow, and I was like, what? Another closure? Hold on, have a little listen. So it's actually that they're closing the name JD Glow, so they'll be getting rid of all their products that have JD Glow on it, and they're going to be rebranding and renaming. Now this isn't down to them, this isn't them kind of going, we no longer feel like we're JD Glow. This has come down to a California Prop 65 violation allegation. Now I'm Irish, so I don't completely, if at all, understand American law, but basically there's a whole bunch of stuff to it. It's too difficult for them to fight it, so they've basically decided that they're going to rebrand, and I am so annoyed for them. They're an indie brand, and it's not like they have deep pockets to fight these sort of things. So I'm really miffed for them. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out. I've never bought anything from them, but they've always been on my wish list. So massive support to them. Let's hope that everything works out for them. But let's talk about the actual new releases. This first one, it was available and now it's as part of a pre-order. This is the Klarity Cosmetics Euphoria palette. Now it's very important that we point out that this is not an eyeshadow palette, it's a pressed pigment palette. They've always been very good at labeling whether something was eyeshadow versus pressed pigment, and at the moment they're still obviously navigating those very difficult waters of MOCRA, because that's not fully in place yet. I think it's June or July that's all coming into place, but this is a pressed pigment palette. It's available now for €44.95. The pre-order is going to ship on the 29th of March, so it's not a huge pre-order. In this palette you get one super shiny extreme multi-chrome, a super foiled duochrome, 3 foiled eyeshadows, and then 7 super pigmented matte pressed pigments. Now some of the matte pressed pigments are those purpley red shades that obviously are not meant to be for immediate use around the eye. Then the shadows that we could say are more eyeshadows are those sort of blue shades. I have to say, I love the look of this. I think it's so pretty. I did actually end up ordering this along with the Komodo palette, which I hadn't got so far, because I haven't bought anything from Klarity for a while. Not because I don't love them, but because I've been trying to be a little bit less whatever. But I think this is such a pretty colour story. Do I think that this is necessarily like new, and could I dupe it from my collection? I probably could, if I am being 100% honest with myself. But there's some of those shades that just look so pretty. So for example, the shade Vibing, that kind of like blue to purpley lilac shift is super interesting to me. Again, I probably could dupe it, but I am a sucker for Klarity Cosmetics. I have a big chunk of their palette so far. I am a disgusting affiliate as well. I know, there you go, my affiliate. It'll give you money off, blah blah blah, whatever. But I don't tend to be affiliated with brands, or at least I don't want to be affiliated with brands unless I think that they're of good sort of quality, or I don't buy them myself, and I do buy these myself. I like this. I think the colour story is really nice. What I have found historically from Klarity is that they tend to have a lot of like mid-tone shades, and they don't have a lot of paler shades, and this is partly because the brand is POC owned, so paler shades are harder to formulate for darker skin without making it look super ashy. But I do appreciate that there is like 2 shades in there that are much more pale, so I think that's quite cool. Do I think I could necessarily have this as a one and done palette? Depends, you know, on the look that you're doing. I feel like if I really want to do a very like blended out look where I'm doing like a monochromatic, yes, I am gonna have to go in with another palette. But if I'm using just like a very structured eye look with lots of graphic liner, you know, that sort of thing, yeah, I'd be fine with this. I think this is beautiful. I think the price is also not bad at all, €44.95. I think it's really good. They've been releasing a lot of stuff, and I know that they've kind of indicated that they're coming out with some more stuff, which I'm like, why? Please don't. Because I'm being very selfish here, because I don't want to say I am a collector. This is, my brain is going all over the place. I am a collector, but I don't want to just be going off and buying everything all the time. But I do tend with Klarity. They're just one of the few brands that I tend to really enjoy. Things like Natasha Denona, Glass Gods, Beauty Bay, etc. I do tend to buy these brands no matter what, but I think this is just done really well. And I mean, €44.95, you can get codes for money off. I used Makeup on Your Radar's code, because you obviously can't choose your own. Yeah, and I think it gets you like 10% off, so you can get it for like €40. I really like it. I'm looking forward to getting this. I haven't had a lot of chance to play with makeup of late because my life has been so busy, but I am looking forward to swatching this, playing with it, and just generally having a good time. I will say a lot of you guys really liked it. 47% of you loved it, 37% said not for me, and 16% said that you were on a no or a low buy. Then we have an influencer brand, and I feel like we're at the point where maybe influencer brands aren't as popular as they were back 2015, 2016, and I feel like that's a really relevant thing to say, because there's definitely an item as part of this launch that feels like it's back in 2015, 2016. And I know we're all about nostalgia, but there's a bit of me that's kind of like, I thought we'd kind of moved on a little bit from this. This is Lunar Beauty and their Moonshroom collection. As you're watching, it is available right now. The palette is $48, the highlighter palette is $36, and the lip glosses are $17 each, and they come in the shades Ella, Sol, and Flora. Let's talk about the eyeshadow palette first. So I like a lot of the individual colors in this. I think they're actually really pretty. The pigment is definitely there. I think this is very different to anything that he's done before. It's definitely filling up a void in his collection thus far. Anything I've had from Lunar Beauty I quite like, particularly when it comes to their mattes. I feel like sometimes their shimmers are either amazing, like they're really drop dead amazing. Like there's a shimmer in the strawberry palette which is just like amazing. I use it sometimes as a highlighter. And then there are others that are a bit like, I don't want to say hard pan, but they're not as like wow out there, as shimmery shiny as you would expect. And a lot of people kind of commented on this, and I do agree with them. This kind of reminds me of the Raw Beauty Christie Colourpop palette that came out, what was it, 2 years ago? There's a lot of very similar pigmentations there. Like even if you're looking at that yellow, which I do think is quite interesting. Is this necessarily a colour story for me? Not really. Like I said, I like individual shades, but I feel like I personally wouldn't get a huge use out of it. I feel like the eye colour story that he's gone with on his eyes looks absolutely stunning. He's very, very talented. I just feel like this maybe isn't capturing where people are, although I've seen a lot of mushroom-based palettes over the last while. I'm gonna blame The Last of Us and just the cordyceps infiltration, because they are everywhere. I think it's a nice enough palette, but it's not one that I'm like, oh, I must go and order from Lunar Beauty, because they are tricky to order. Well, they're not tricky to order from, but like I can't get them via an additional retailer, and I don't know why, but that always puts me off. It's fine. I love that lavender shade in it. Super, super interesting. The thing that I find very dated is the highlighter palette, because when I looked at it, like, it's fine, but it's bringing me back to 2016, 2017, 2018 highlighter. Like, I get it. We love a blinding highlight. There's part of me that hasn't kind of left that, but I expect more innovative highlighter formulas. And based on the way that he's showing them, they do look a little bit, I don't want to say bog standard, but yeah, bog standard. They remind me a little bit of the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter palette that came out several years ago, and it just feels a little bit strange. Like, his blush palettes were always super, super popular, and I do think it's quite brave of him to deviate from that and go with just a highlighter instead. But I don't know, and I said this before and I will stick with this. I just don't think that highlighter palettes are a good idea. I don't think they're inclusive. Inevitably, you're going to have shades there that you're not going to be able to use. Do individual pans. Just do individual pans, because there's whole highlighters here that I just don't feel are going to work on a lot of skin tones. And considering he is Manny MUA, you would think he'd kind of consider that. It's very strange. The things that I do think are quite nice are the lip glosses. So there's 3 different shades, as I said, $17 each. I personally quite like the lip gloss formula. It's not too sticky. It gives you a really nice pigment. I will say it seems to be one of their more popular items. Like, shades like Celine always tended to sell out. Super, super popular. I think this vibes really well with the palette and the overall feel of the collection. Do I necessarily need them? No, because we have been infiltrated. There's so many lip glosses and lip oils everywhere that you can't actually move. We're just swimming in glosses at this point. So I feel like it isn't really it. Now, I know that they'll probably have some bundles. I don't know exactly what the story is, because as I'm filming, it hasn't released. That's coming out essentially 5 p.m. Irish time. So there you go. I love the photo shoot that they did with it. It's all very beautiful, fairy, ethereal aesthetic, very, very pretty. But other than that, it doesn't speak to me. And I feel like the popularity of influencer brands are really going down. And I think maybe influencers in general don't have the same kind of clout or say that they once did, because people realize that there's a certain amount of like a sales tactic that goes into, particularly like the bigger influencers, that's their actual job, which is fine, like that's their job. But I think people are very rightly critiquing and evaluating things and not taking stuff at face value, which I just think is just being a savvy consumer. Like, even here, don't take my word for things. Go and research things. I know a lot of you guys are smart enough to do that, and I feel like that's where a lot of us have kind of headed as consumers in the last couple of years. We're not as easily influenced as we once were, and that's why I think the popularity of these brands is going down ever so slightly. And speaking of, when I put this to you guys, it wasn't as popular as it would have been a couple of years ago. For instance, the palette got a 35% love it, 55% not for me, and 10% said you were on a no or a low buy. The highlighter palette got a 25% love it, 70% not for me, and 6% on a no or a low buy. The lip glosses then had a 22% love it, 73% not for me, and 4% said that you were on a no or a low buy. Then we have Kaleidos makeup. That's their actual name, but this is not a makeup launch. This is actually a hair launch. And initially I was kind of like, what on earth is going on? But I was talking to my friend Sue, and she reckons she saw somewhere that there was a change up in terms of like creative director, etc. So maybe this is explaining this, but all I could think of was lime crime, because we're getting semi-permanent hair dyes. I have to say the semi-permanent hair dyes are really quite interesting. At the moment they have 6 shades, but but they have kind of elaborated and said that you can mix the shades. Now, of course, me being me, because I'm not a creative, I'm not an artist, I just enjoy makeup, and I actually don't do anything with my hair, mostly just down to sensory stuff. I'm not able for it. But I couldn't immediately think of how you could mix these, but over on their website, they've actually given some really great suggestions of like the different combinations that you could use here. And you can get little mini packets for like €4.79. You can get the bigger packets for like €18.99. So there's 6 shades. There's Pink Potion, Ultrasonic, Dreamlock, Nirvana, Eye of the Storm, Sun Never Sets, and then there's a pastel mixer, which is a semi-translucent diluter. Now, of course, they've said that like this will work much better if you've got any sort of pre-lightening. But in addition to all of this, they also came out with some like general accessories. So there's a hair clip, there's a gorgeous hairbrush. I actually do think that looks so pretty. But they also have like the hair clips that you need for like sectioning off your hair, color brushes, color bowls, all that sort of thing. So everything that you would need for this type of thing. I actually think the colors themselves are super cool. Like they've chosen some really nice ones. Like there's a pink one in there which is called Pink Potion. It does look super light. Again, they've given information on that. What you could do is get like a really cool lavender shade to your like hair by combining Dreamlock and Pink Potion. You could get a hot pink by combining Nirvana and Pink Potion. And I like just seeing how you could do that. There's a little bit of me that's like, it's reminding me of, you know, when you were a kid and you'd make potions, and I'm like, oh my god, I kind of like this general vibe. I like that they're giving a little bit of artistry to the hair. I think this is interesting, but it totally not. If you'd asked me, what do you think Kaleidos is going to come out with this year, I would have never, ever in a million years guessed hair at all. I do think it's definitely interesting. If you look at the Asian market, which is, it seems is where Kaleidos are trying to go, they are one for embracing fun, cool, out there aesthetics of hairstyles. So this kind of makes sense in that context. I have to say, if I was cool enough, I would love to wear the shade Ultrasonic. Actually, do you know what? I'd happily wear all of them if I had the wherewithal to do this, but I am very bad at taking care of myself. So I know I'd be the person with like 5 inches of exposed roots and it would just look awful. Like I'm so fortunate at the moment that I haven't gotten any greys yet. So I haven't had to dye my hair, but I will tell you right now that once I do start to go grey, I'm not going to do anything with it. I just amn't. The models in the pictures are absolutely giving. They look so cool, and obviously with some of them, for instance, if we look at pictures like Dreamlock, they've also advertised, you know, some of their multi-chrome eyeliners, which I think is super smart. All of these models look too cool to hang out with me. They look like they'd make fun of me, but I'd still be like seeking out their general approval. I think it's quite cool. I like, as I said, some of the hair things. Like, I swear that hair clip is so cool. And I was talking to somebody recently over on my YouTube where I was like, the symbol looks like a uterus and I can't unsay it. And she's like, yeah, apparently it's meant to be. And I'm like, what? I really think this is quite interesting. It's not for me, but I think it's an interesting new wave to go into. But all I could think of was line crime, because obviously line crime started with hair and then went into makeup, and now they're not really in makeup anymore and they don't really do anything. So I'm like, is Kaleidos kind of doing a reverse? What is happening here? Very strange. When I put it to you guys, 11% of you loved it, 38% said not for me, and 51% said that it seemed like a really odd change for the brand. Then we have Urban Decay. They have got so much success when it comes to their Moondust. I kind of feel like that's part of what's keeping the brand going at the moment. It's part of what really gave them a resurgence over on TikTok, and I think them extending the line makes a huge amount of sense. They've also kind of said that they've changed around the formula, but you're still going to get the same kind of level of glitteriness, which I should hope so. There's 2 shades now. So there's Diamond Dog, which is a much deeper shade, and there's Crushin Hard. So let's talk about maybe Diamond Dog first. I have to say, I think this is perfect for just bam in the eye, do feck all, you know, have a really nice sultry sort of a look. I think there's definitely a place for this. I also feel this is going to be great for POCs, because as it is, all of the Moondust so far have been quite light. So you could just pop this onto your eye and have that really kind of subtle little shimmer, which I think is very nice. I feel though, however, there's a lot of K-beauty that probably does this a little bit better. I'm just saying, and I do have such like a love of Urban Decay because they were my first foray into like out there makeup, but it feels like a lot of what they're doing is very, very safe now. Crushin Hard then is like this really pretty peachy shade, and it does look pretty on the eye. That's the thing, pretty. Not edgy, not cool, not vibey, not out there, pretty. It feels very safe, and that's so far removed from the aesthetic of Urban Decay that we knew years and years ago. And I don't know, maybe I'm just really stupid and I'm sitting here like the person in the long-term relationship going, maybe they'll change, but I keep hoping beyond hope that they will go back to their origins and just bring us something fun and colourful and vibrant. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with these, and I think it's smart for them to extend upon the stuff that is giving them the most clout and the most virality. But I want to see shades like this that are like goblin green, that are like fuchsia pink, pale lavender purples. I want to see cobalt blues with sparkle in this, because I know that they can do that. They've done stuff like that in the past. Why not go back to that? And the thing is, like, there's a nostalgic resurgence of everything from like the 90s and the noughties. So this is the time for them to actually go back to their back catalogue, say, hey, we're bringing back some of this, but we've reformulated it. We've made it better than it was before. Come and recapture it. Even see it in its old packaging, because this new packaging is very like... Like, I remember the old packaging where it was like the fabulous circles. I have them over there on my shelf, and they were so pretty and so luxe, and they seemed like an experience. And this is just so safe, you know? And I don't want them to continue with this safe stuff, right? I want to see innovation, because I have such a soft spot for them. Maybe they're just too far gone. Maybe all they want is like a clean girl aesthetic, and I'm clinging to the Urban Decay of old, but I want to see some change. When I put it to you guys, I feel like a lot of you were in the same sort of space. 31% of you loved it, 43% said not for me, and 26% of you guys said that you want more colour. Speaking of more colour, this is Beauty Moon Cosmetics, and they launched these today. They are their cream chrome eyeshadows. I say shadows, but they are actually multi-use. You could use them as highlighters as well if you want. They are available right now as of filming. I actually ended up picking all of them up. They're £10.50 each. However, there is a deal over there where you can bundle 3 together for £28, and there's also a code. I think it's like first delivery 15, and you get 15% off. So I ended up getting all 8 because I thought that they were absolutely stunning. I've heard nothing but good things about this brand. Wilma Fingerdew brought them to my attention a while ago, and I've kind of been keeping an eye out on them. And I know there's a few people that saying there's some similarities here with Glisten Cosmetics, which I do agree with. And I actually think that's the height of compliments, because I think Glisten is fantastic. So it's great to see some extra brands out there kind of innovating and doing some nice stuff. Oh my god, like the swatches, look at them. There's definitely some more like traditional duochromes in here, or multi-chromes, like the shade Gaia. We've kind of seen that before. That's a very, very traditional shift. But then there's ones like Aura and Angelina and Eternal that I'm like, excuse me. Even the Meet My Unicorn has this like purple, greeny, bluey, pastel-y vibe to it that I'm just absolutely loving. I went through their website and I went through their Instagram to get all of the swatches as well, and I just think they look really, really great. I forgot to take down the information as to how much you get in terms of ounces, grams, etc. But I mean, I feel like with something like this, you probably don't need a huge amount of product. Just make sure you keep the lid closed. Don't let it dry out, you silly goose. I'm so excited about this. I do think it's genuinely so pretty. I love that they also had some of their followers actually name the shadows. So things like Gaia and Meet My Unicorn were actually named by their subscribers, which I think is really, really cool. I want to really signpost you to some of my favorites in this. Angelina, right? It is this absolutely stunning, like pastel-y purple blue, but then with like hints of like white in it. I can see how this is definitely one that you could use as a highlighter. It reminds me very much of a shade out of the Danessa Myricks Lightworks Volume 3, the small little 8 pan palette one. and I think it was like Strawberry Dream or something, and it reminds me a little bit of that. I used that as the highlighter on my wedding day, so I'm like looking at this kind of going, oh, absolutely stunning. I also, when I was looking at Eternal, I looked at it in the pot and I was like, God, it almost looks like there's glitter flakes in here, and I'm not really that into it. But when I saw it swatched, I was like, okay, never mind. I take back everything I say. This looks so pretty. Again, there's so much of this that reminds me of the Danessa Myricks ones, but at a fraction of the price. So I have a couple of shades in my collection that are Danessa Myricks that look like they're similar to this. So I kind of want to, I don't want to say that I want them to battle each other, but I want to put them up against each other to see what the story is, because if we can find alternatives from indie brands, I am all for that. The Meet My Unicorn, oh my God, it took me ages to find a swatch of this, but when I found it, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. Like that lavender to green to blue. It's like the paler cousin of Gaia. I love that, because the Gaia is like the deeper one, and this is much more pastel-y. I can't. I just think it's absolutely stunning. I'm actually basically telling you about all of the shades at this point. Like Esmeralda, that beautiful. I love duochromes that are lighter in shade, because we see so many deep based duochromes and multichromes out there because they're essentially the easiest to formulate. So when I see something that has a lighter base, I am instantly vibing with it. So I think this is so, so cool. And the shade Aura, again, you cannot tell me that would not look beautiful as an inner corner highlight to your eye. You could use it as a fabulous liner. You could use it as a highlighter. I love all of these as potentially multi-use products because, I mean, get bang for your buck. I think it's fantastic. And seeing this coming from an indie brand that is managing to keep their costs down, they're based in the UK. I am all for this, properly excited. And a lot of you guys felt exactly the same way. And considering this was as popular as it was for singles, I know a lot of us don't love singles. 49% loved it, 20% said that I like some of them, and 31% said not for me. Now, my gorgeous friends, we are moving on to the part of the show, the episode, where I haven't actually polled you on things, but this is stuff that I'm just cobbling together that I think is worth discussing, so strap on in. And technically we have two things from Made by Mitchell, but I want to talk about one thing first, and this is the Curve Case Collective XL Cream Blusher Palette. My goodness, when he says XL, he means XL because there's 24 shades of the favourite blush formula. His words, not mine. Now, I got initially quite confused because I was like, I thought the curve cases were gone. No, Teresa, you absolute moron. It's the colour cases that he discontinued, which I still don't understand. I haven't heard as much about the curve cases. They look like there's a much more sheer formula to them than you got on the curve cases, so they haven't necessarily appealed to me. It's £60, so it is very, very expensive. I feel like this is kind of perfect for MUAs or people who are maybe, I don't know, collectors, I guess. I can't see this being one for like the everyday makeup user. Like, I personally wouldn't get a lot of use out of this. I don't think it's a bad one. Obviously, you have the opportunity here to mix your shades, engage in that little bit of bad makeup science. I think the shades themselves are quite nice. There's a few that I think are probably a little bit too close to each other, and they didn't necessarily have to put them all into the one. I was talking to my friend Buttons, and I think she was 100% correct on this. Instead of coming out with an XL, I think you should have come out with refills for the current curve cases, because in my mind, Mitch is kind of doing a little bit too much. I'm getting personally a little bit overwhelmed, and it's heading a little bit too much towards fast beauty, and that kind of gives me pause. I personally don't love that. If you love it, that's totally fine. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to fall out over these things. But I personally feel like having refills would be a lot more budget friendly, consumer friendly, and eco friendly. And I feel like a lot more brands should be heading towards that. So I think that's definitely a missed opportunity. I'd love to know, did anyone pick this up? What did you think of it? Because I know that the likes of Rude Velvet, who I absolutely adore over on TikTok, they got this in PR. Check out their content. They're always like one of the first that talks about like P. Louise and Made by Mitchell stuff. Also, there's a couple of things over there on Rude Cosmetics that they've done. So check that out. I don't think there's anything wrong with the quality. I do think they could have like cut this down. I know that kind of almost goes against the whole point of like, it's XL. But a lot of these shades, if you combine them and mix them, you could recreate, you know? Like, for instance, the shades Blowing Kisses, Party Pink and Pink Monday are quite similar. Like, Pink Monday does have more of like an almost metallic-y sheen, but particularly with Blowing Kisses and Party Pink and even Sweet Cheeks, I don't think you necessarily need to have all of those. You could have mixed a couple of shades to get that general vibe. Like, it just seems a little bit unnecessary, but obviously he is bringing in the shades that he already has, because you can see those existing names like Nancy, Mango Daiquiri, etc. The ones that have been very, very popular. So, like, I totally get it. Like, there's obviously a space for it. I did say that there's a second one. This is the Bronze Pods Domed Bronzers. There's 10 shades and they're £14 each. He says that we just took your bronze to the next level. The Bronze Pods leave a silk-like sheen over your base makeup to merge a seamless transition across the cheek. A foolproof formula in 10 shades for all skin tones. I do actually think this is like a smart one, because he came out with like the bronzing book, and I think it makes an awful lot more sense to have your singles here for the average everyday makeup user. And it does look like he's got a decent depth and breadth. I would say maybe 1 or 2 extra deep shades, but in general it's not bad at all. £14, that's not a bad price either, so I'm not gonna get like miffed here either. Like, I think he's generally done pretty well. I'd have put maybe 1 or 2 extra deep dark shades in here. My issue, a little bit, if we're going to call it an issue, is when you go over to his website, he hasn't shown this on the skin. Like, you can't get any swatches. Not that I think that swatches on the arm are great for bronzer, but I'd like to see it actually in context on the face. That would be super, super helpful. I know it's not wildly expensive, it's £14, and I do think generally his formula is very good, but for me, I like having at least some idea. Like, I know there's definitely ones like, say, for instance, baking gloves, that would probably work for me because that looks like it's appropriately pale. But I just wish there was a smidgen more context. That's just me being very, very greedy. The next thing then that we have to talk about is NYX Cosmetics, and they have released their Butter Gloss Bling Non-Sticky Lip Gloss. They're available right now for pre-order, apparently, on Amazon. They're $6 each, and it seems that they come in a couple of different shades. There's 8 new blingy shades for a pop of shine. And I mean, it's affordable. We can't really say anything to whatever on this. They're $6 each. I mean, they're very wearable. NYX does very well. They are a very affordable brand, good quality. This is apparently part of their 25 years in business. In my brain, I still can't fathom that, because I know they didn't come to the UK and Ireland until, I want to say, maybe 10 years ago. So 25 years seems like, wow, where on earth did that time go? They're a very consistent brand, really, really good formula. Do you know what? I actually think some of these shades look really, really interesting. Like, there's deep kind of rich winey red in there that looks really nice. There's a cool gold. There's also like a more silvery taupey one in there. I think these are done really well and they look nice. I'm not against this. I would absolutely consider getting these if I didn't have 50 million fucking lip glosses as it was, because I do. I have a lot. I don't need any more. It's all a bit ridiculous, but I do think this is a good budget alternative. Now, it does say, I'm following Makeup on Your Radar's information on this, and it says that it's available for pre-order on Amazon for $6, and I'm like, $6? When it comes over here, it's got to be like €12. Why is everything so expensive? I don't understand. It's very, very annoying. We do have more lip products. This time it's from Gisou, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but there you go. It's their honey infused lip oil. Now, they had 2 shades already, but they're bringing out 3 more. They're $32 each. They're really expensive, but there is honey in them, which I have to say I actually think is quite smart. Honey is a great preservative naturally, but it also has like a lot of like antiseptic qualities. It's just generally good for your health. There's also hyaluronic acid in there, and there's metafoam seed oils as well. They are scented, which is interesting. So there's strawberry sorbet, there's watermelon sugar, and there's mango passion punch. I will say the packaging slightly gives me anxiety. You know, the shifty, wavy thing. I don't love it. I get where they're coming from and I appreciate the artistry there, but there's also the practicality of like, how do I get the very last drops of the lip oil? That cost me $32. So for me, I don't love it. It also makes me feel a little bit like maybe I'm having like some really weird hallucination and that I'm about to faint. It looks stunning on the models. Like Strawberry Sorbet does look like there's quite a bit of pigment on them. I mean, I don't hate them, but there's just been such a proliferation of lip oils and lip glosses that we're very spoiled for choice. As I said, I do think they have some great elements here in the sense of saying, hey, we have honey in this, we have hyaluronic acid in this. So I think that's enough to maybe differentiate them from other competitors on the market. I don't hate it. I think it's quite interesting. Do you know what? If it was available here for like €24, I'd think about getting one of them, maybe. No, Teresa, you don't need them. They do look stunning though, like let's be real. And I like that they've shown it on a variety of skin tones. They do look quite nice, but again, I just kind of can't quite get over the price. I just can't. I can't. It's pretty though, for sure. Then I'm afraid we have more lip stuff. I swear to God, this is just the episode of lips, but I feel like I have to have a warning with this. It's Isomea. You know what that means. You're going to be looking at a male appendage for some reason, and it's so grossly expensive. This is £80. You can get it via Isomea Beauty, but it's apparently also exclusive to Selfridges. This is the shade Chalice Sunburnt Gold. You're definitely not going to want to have your chalice actually get sunburnt, is all I can say. It's vegan, it's cruelty, and it's paraben free. It's made in Italy. I mean, what can I say? It can be worn as a lip topper to add a metallic gleam, or you can wear it alone for a sheer bronze shimmer. It's so expensive. It's so expensive. I mean, there's part of me that kind of like appreciates like how out there and that they're really kind of leaning into all of that. I'm afraid to almost show pictures of this because I'm like, I'm gonna get demonetized, and these episodes are very time consuming to film and edit, so I'm like, oh God. But all I can think of is, and this is such a fucking leap, James Bond, because I think gold finger, but it's not a finger, it's something else. Yeah, I mean, the ones that she's done before are all silver, so I guess maybe because this is more bronzy, she's gone with gold. It does look very pretty on the lips. Is it worth £80? I don't know. And I will also say I've seen some reviews where they've basically said that the packaging is very flimsy and it's not the best quality. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I appreciate that she's very much leaning into what her brand is. She's unapologetic about it. It's not going to be for everyone. I know that some people are going to be like clutching their pearls, kind of going, oh my goodness, it's a penis. Yeah, it's fine. Like half of the population has one. The other half has one, but in their bedside cabinet. So like, who cares? Like, who genuinely cares? It's not a big deal. I just personally wouldn't pay that much for a lip balm. Like if this was like £20, maybe I probably would, just out of sheer hilarity, grab that. Moving on from influencer brands, we're now talking about a celebrity brand. It's called GXVE. It's by Gwen Stefani. It seems to be doing pretty okay, although I have seen a couple of their things in TK Maxx of late. Now, we talked last week about Buxom and their collagen infused blushes. It seems that there was an internal memo sent around to every single makeup brand to put collagen into cheek products, and GXVE is doing it as well. This is their Dewy Plump Collagen Boosting Cheek Tint, and a couple of you pointed out under that particular video kind of saying it can't possibly be in any sort of density that is giving you the sort of balance from collagen that you would expect. And I'm kind of assuming that it's a little bit strange. They say it's a collagen supporting cheek tint that lasts all day. It's $26. It comes in the shade Bouquet, which is a pink, Purple Irises, Nightshade, which is a berry, Hibiscus, which is a mauve, Peony, which is pink, and Marigolds, which is coral, which is kind of funny because I would always think like of marigolds as being yellow, but that may be due to, you know, the marigolds, the dishwashing gloves that you have. We call those marigolds. Do you call those marigolds where you are? I don't know. Anyways, this is coming soon to their website. It's funny, like I know that that black and white checked pattern is across all of their products, but every time I see it, I just think of racetracks, and it feels like such a strange thing to kind of fuse it with. I do think that the shades themselves look quite pretty. and she looks great, fantastic, well done to her. I just think maybe a few extra shades would have been helpful, because a lot of those shades are more going to translate for quite fair skin tones. We don't have an awful lot that's for kind of those with a deeper complexion. I've nothing like negative really to say about it. Like the shades themselves are grand, $26. It's okay. I don't know how I feel about the whole collagen thing, because again, I just can't see it being in such a high density that it's actually going to affect your skin. And I love skincare, like I am so into it, but I don't know. We knew we were going to see an awful lot more like skincare in makeup. And it just seems to not really be going anywhere. What I will say is any kind of general reviews I've seen of GXVE seems to be relatively positive. Like people are saying that they're good products, but that their qualm is around the price, which I would totally agree with. A lot of their stuff seems to be a little bit too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. The fact that I've seen some of the lipsticks, their eyeshadow quads, etc. in TK Maxx, if I saw this in an unopened box in TK Maxx with the seal, because the amount of people who just stick their fingers into things in TK Maxx, like, gross, not able for it. I'd probably pick up a few of them because they are quite pretty. Like the shade Peony looks so pretty on very fair skin tones. It does also seem to kind of come up quite well on deeper skin tones as well. I quite like Marigolds, but again, I'm still very stuck on the name in and of itself. I wouldn't be able to get away with Hibiscus, I would say, but I have to say a lot of these do look quite pretty. I like purple irises, although I'm pretty sure that if I wore that it would look like a bruise on me. The shades themselves quite pretty, I have to say. Again, would like to see more POC friendly colours, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I feel like it's a pretty okay middle of the road celebrity brand, but I can't see myself buying anything from them in the immediate future. Then the very last thing that we're talking about is a little bit of a sneak peek. And this is One Size, and it seems that they're doing a collaboration with Wicked. And initially we didn't have a huge amount of information other than somebody saw this particular setting spray. It's like a glitter setting spray out in the wild in Sephora, and it's called the Popular Glitter Setting Spray, which fantastic. I really like Wicked, and I do like anything I've tried from One Size, but today Trend Mood put this up, and it seems that we are getting an unlimited eye and face palette. I'm intrigued because we haven't seen anything eye related from One Size. Yes, we have seen like face products, but not eye products. That's going to be $49. There's a Defying Gravity Spotlight highlighter for $34. The again Popular Glitter Setting Spray for $32, and the Off the Handle Complexion Brush for $34. I am interested. I don't think I'm that interested in the complexion brush. It doesn't really look to be a shape that I would be wildly interested in, but definitely the highlighter and definitely the eye and face palette I am interested in. I also really like Wicked. I like musicals. I get that surprised. I think this is quite an interesting collab, and Jesus, this is just the episode with influencer and celebrity collabs, or influencer and celebrity brands, but I do feel like One Size is one of the really, really good ones. Anything I've tried is like very, very solid. I'm interested in this for sure. I hope it comes to Sephora UK. My issue, I know I won't be able to get the setting spray because I've tried to get the setting spray from Sephora, but they won't sell it from Sephora UK to Ireland. And I'm like, why? I know it's obviously like, it's like safety or something, or maybe they just can't transport it because of the, you know, it's a spray thing. I don't know, but I feel bitter. I don't need it. I have so much stuff. Like, I don't need it, but I'm still like, oh, how dare you prevent me from getting this thing that I don't need. I am interested though. I would love to know what the shade of the highlighter is. They need to have a highlighter that shifts from green to pink. I'm just saying, it would make a huge amount of sense. Would it be widely wearable? No, but I don't actually care. Issues with doing like highlighters obviously are is it going to necessarily suit all the skin tones? I'm a little bit worried. I feel like, again, you need to have like a couple of different considerations on that. A bit worried about the eye and face palette as well, but they'll probably make things so that it's like, you can use these face colours for your eyes too. And we'll trick ourselves into thinking that we can definitely do that. Am I talking myself out of this? I don't know what's happening. It's very, very strange. I am interested though to see the reveal because I am nosy, if nothing else. But my gorgeous friends, that's it. That's the end of all of the new releases of this week. I do have my favourite comment, and this is from Anissa3662, who said, "Such a good start to the day. I will be celebrating St. Patrick's Day for the first time tonight. Hooray! I am spending way too much energy on choosing the right green eyeshadow." My friend, no such thing as too much energy spent on green eyeshadow. It's amazing. Thinking of Cleona Gargoyle, but could be the PML green in Sublime or the shifty green pink in Divine Rose 2. Decisions. And I don't know what she decided on. I did ask, but I haven't got a reply. So Anissa, I must know. What shades did you use? Yeah, I'm all for people celebrating St. Patrick's Day, here for it. Of course, we're now entering into Easter, which leads me to another little segue. Next weekend, I will be in Kerry on like a little mini break. So I'm not sure if I will necessarily get the chance to edit and put together a releases and rants for next week. I will do my absolute best, but it may not happen. But I don't want to commit to something and then not do it. So just keep in mind, it may not happen. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, we shan't stress too much. But my gorgeous friends, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. And do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. And do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case, just wrap it up. Don't be gross, but that's it. That's the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.